This video is going to be talking about how Chappell Roan cannot stop getting harassed, as far as the current reason as to why she stopped playing the festival, and as far as the previous harassment she's faced. I might as well also include that there's probably other situations that have not been so publicly online that she's faced on her own personal terms. I'm going to dive into everything I've learned online thus far, as well as go into other people's opinions on the matter, as well as kind of break this all down for you. So let's dive right into that. For starters, I'm someone that routinely works with artists that you probably know that I've worked with. So I do have a bit of an insight as to what their life is like a little bit, and the behind the scenes of what all goes into it, because I've literally recorded it. So I feel like this is an appropriate topic for me to discuss. Chappell Roan, as far as I'm concerned, went from being kind of a smaller indie artist a handful of years ago to now, after being on the Olivia Rodrigo bill and after the internet blow up, she's now went from like 1 million monthly listeners up to about 40 million, 50 million monthly listeners. Having said that, that is a huge spike. And if you get that kind of following out of nowhere, you have to kind of soak in a lot. It takes a lot to be able to understand how to operate with a large fan base. And you have to think about how that fan base is then going to treat you. And you're going to have, you're going to have your walls up a little bit more as far as your own boundaries between you and the people around you and how you operate in your daily life. Having said that, in May of 2022, she had put up a post mentioning that she's diagnosed with bipolar 2. She wrote, "It's been pretty hard to keep it together and release these songs. I've been on meds and I was in full swing hypomania when Naked in Manhattan released, which I'm out of now. In the weeks leading up and through the My Kink is Karma release campaign, I've been in intensive outpatient therapy, individual therapy 4 days a week, and it's definitely been difficult to balance promoting and being active on social media. I don't really talk about it much, but it affects me daily and is a pretty big part of my music. I'm in a healthy spot. Just wanted to share its importance in talking about mental health. In case that didn't resonate with you for whatever reason, long story short, I'm not a doctor. I don't have the specifics on bipolar, but what I will say from my own experience with friends that have it is it's you can be like kind of down in the dumps one moment, and then you can be very excited another moment. It's a very uncontrollable thing that's rightfully so out of her control. This is a very important thing to remember for what I'm about to say and get into in this video. I'm going to try to keep this video as short and concise as I possibly can, but I also want to go through some TikTok talking points that I've seen online, but that is a very important piece to keep in mind. Having mentioned that she had her huge boost in following, if you remember back in August, she had put up this post that said, "I turned off comments because I'm not looking for anyone's response. This isn't a group conversation. I understand this is jarring to hear from a person in my position." And also, this is, by the way, this is kind of a commentary on like parasocial relationships and her experience with it. And so this is what she's talking about here. But she said, "For the past 10 years, I've been going nonstop to build my project, and it's come to the point I need to draw lines and set boundaries. I want to be an artist for a very long time. I've been in too many non-consensual physical, social interactions, and I just need to lay it out and remind you, women don't owe you shit." Now, I'll say this. As a guy, it's easy to not understand the perspective of this from a woman's perspective, because we'll never know. We'll never know what it's like as a guy. It's a completely different dynamic as a woman, and I've seen people undermine her for this online because of such. I chose this career path because I love music and art, honoring my inner child. I do not accept harassment of any kind because I chose this path, nor do I deserve it. When I'm on stage, when I'm performing, when I'm in drag, when I'm at a work event, when I'm doing press, I am at work. Any other circumstance, I'm not in work mode. I am clocked out. I do not agree with the notion that I owe a mutual exchange of energy, time, or attention for people I do not know, do not trust, who creep me out just because they are expressing admiration. Women do not owe a reason why they do not want to be touched or talked to. This has nothing to do with the gratitude and love I feel for my community, for the people who respect my boundaries, and for the love I feel from every person who lifts me up and has stuck me to help me get this project to where it is now. I'm specifically talking about predatory behavior disguised as superfan behavior. This has become normalized because of the way women who are well known have been treated in the past. Please do not assume you know a lot about someone's life, personality, and boundaries because you're familiar with them or their work online. You're still asking, well, if you didn't want this to happen, then why'd you choose a career where you knew you wouldn't be comfortable with the outcome of success? Understand this. I embrace the success of the project, the love I feel, and the gratitude I have. What I do not accept are creepy people being touched, being followed. The situation is similar to that if a woman wears a skirt and gets harassed or catcalled. She shouldn't have worn the skirt in the first place. It's not the woman's duty to suck it up and take it. It is the harasser's duty to be a certain person, leave her alone, and respect that she can wear whatever she wants and still deserve peace in this world. I want to love my life, be outside, giggle with friends, go to the movie theater, feel safe, and do all the things every single person deserves to do. Please stop touching me. Please stop being weird to my family and friends. Please stop assuming things about me. There's always more to the story. I'm scared, and please do not ever call me Kaylee. I feel more love than I ever have in my life. I feel the most unsafe I've ever felt in my life. There's a part of myself that I saved just for the project and all of you. There's a part of myself that's just for me, and I don't want that taken away from me. Thank you for reading this and understanding and your support. Now, this is all a big commentary on parasocial relationships, where I think in some respects, nowadays, having these online influencers, people that get so popular online, especially if you're chronically online, it can be easy to fall into the trap of feeling and finding a relatability between you and this influencer or this person that you follow, that you start to feel a level of closeness. Now, that level of closeness, you can kind of go two ways with. The one route of it is you take it so far that you begin to, I don't know, stalk her like she mentioned. You begin to start to find out who her family members are, what her previous middle name was, or what her real name is, or what her friends call it. All this like stuff where you find in like Reddit forums and like weird places, or find out what place she's getting her hair cut at. Like weird things that literally do not matter. Like your life will not change if you find these things out. But there's the other method of this where you do know this stuff, except you don't have to you don't have to put it out there and take it to the level of harassing her. Instead, you can just know it and move on with your life. And that's it. It does not have to go any further than that. Or I guess you could just simply not know any of this like a normal person and just, listen to her music, go to her shows, and go home and, I don't know, call it a day. Maybe she has a fan meet and greet, and that is at which point you could quickly meet her and go. I'm not saying she's like planning that or has had that. I'm saying artists do on occasion have that attached to their shows, their bills, pay an extra $150 to have the artist meet and greet before the show, etc. That is when artists tend to open themselves up to that kind of thing. I've been to a show that I filmed firsthand with a very popular artist that a lot of you know, that I've watched this go down, and it's a very normal interaction. There's security guards, there's managers, there's all the people involved in the band. Like, there's a lot of people around, and fans are in a line. They come up and shake their hand and meet them and go. And that's it. You don't need to know these people or try to figure out like you know them from a deeper perspective when you're not going to even be hanging out with these people. It's okay to know all these things about your best friend, but I'm sorry, the artist that, I don't care if 65 million people know this artist, I don't care if 10 people know this artist, you do not need to know anything that is like beyond the means of just going to the show. You really don't need to know that. You should not be harassing these artists. They deal with plenty as is. And Chappell Roan is obviously fairly new to this and just wants to live her life that she's planned to. Now, Having said that, she mentioned that women do not owe you shit. I don't know why people online think that she owes them her attention and her, her comments back and her friendship and all this stuff. She doesn't owe you any of that at the end of the day. Sure, you might be the one lining her pockets by paying for her tickets and all that, but that exchange in of itself does not in turn mean that she owes you back. There's no exchange. The only exchange that can happen would be like the one I just mentioned. Or there's perks. I've seen it where artists do Patreon perks where you can sign up for an extra $15 a month and be getting a pre-released album listen or whatever it might be, right? Maybe that, but artists have to offer that kind of thing to you, right? And by the way, here was the TikTok she put up about that.
I need you to answer questions. Just answer my questions for a second. If you saw a random woman on the street, would you yell at her from the car window? Would you harass her in public? Would you go up to a random lady and say, "Can I get a photo with you?" And she's like, "No, what the fuck?" And then you get mad at this random lady? Would you be offended if she says no to your time because she has her own time? Would you stalk her family? Would you follow her around? Would you try to dissect her life and bully her online? This is a lady you don't know. And she doesn't know you at all. Would you assume that she's a good person? Assume she's a bad person? Would you assume everything you read about her online is true? I'm a random bitch. You're a random bitch. Just think about that for a second, okay?
And she also made this video.
I don't care that abuse and harassment, stalking, whatever, is a normal thing to do to people who are famous or a little famous, whatever. I don't care that it's normal. I don't care that this crazy type of behavior comes along with the job, the career field I've chosen. That does not make it okay. That doesn't make it normal. It doesn't mean I want it. It doesn't mean that I like it. I don't want whatever the fuck you think you're supposed to be entitled to whenever you see a celebrity. I don't give a fuck if you think it's selfish of me to say no for a photo or for your time or for a hug. That's not normal. That's weird. It's weird.
And I think she's getting across what I kind of got across already, is that people do forget that this artist does not know you at all. They have no idea who you are. I don't care how much information you know. They do not know you. So to the artist, you are a stranger. Now imagine yourself meeting a total random stranger. Not even meeting, just going up to a stranger and being like, "Can I have," like that random stranger is going to be like, oh, like get away from me. It's very strange. So you think when you see an artist that you know, but they don't know you, you need to remember that, because otherwise this is the result of it. You're going to end up technically harassing this artist.
How people think that you know a person just because you see them online or you listen to the art they make. That's fucking weird. I'm allowed to say no to creepy behavior, okay?
Let's move on from that and let's get into the current takes of what has been happening lately with her. This is where I think fans have gone the next layer too far after that. They're begging for her opinion on politics, which right now and just overall is a very big deal. Politics are something that divide us. They're something that separate friends. It's a very divisive thing. And people are just begging for her opinion on this. So let's see what the result was of the fans who begged her for her opinion.
I have encouraged people to use critical thinking skills, learn about what they're voting for, learn about who they're voting for, and ask questions. And it's being completely taken out of context, per usual. There is nuance to what I say in interviews. And I think it's important that people use critical thinking. I think it's important for me to question authority and question world leaders and question myself, question my algorithm, question if some person that tweeted something about someone else is even true. It's important to question, because that's how I think we move forward. This is my third election in voting, and the world is changing so rapidly, and I want to be part of the generation that changes things for good, because we need it. If you come to my shows, if you read my full interviews, if you literally know anything about me and for what I stand for, you know that this is not lip service, this is not virtue signaling, that my actions have always paved the way for my project and the people who really know me. Actions speak louder than words, and actions speak louder than an endorsement. Here's the full quote that a lot of people are just not reading. I have so many issues with our government in every way, she says. There are so many things that I would want to change, so I don't feel pressured to endorse someone. There's problems on both sides, and I encourage people to use your critical thinking skills. Use your vote. Vote small. Vote for what's going on in your city. The change she wants.
Real quickly, if you're enjoying this video, hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Here we talk about internet drama and news, so if that's your thing, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to see you stick around for more videos. Back to the video. This, in and of itself, an endorsement is not a vote. Also, another thing to take into consideration is her stance so far on this matter is surprisingly, and I say surprisingly sarcastically, because people are acting like this is like, whoa, shocker. But no, her response is a very normal response for someone, you know, our age. It's a very, like, normal, level-headed response at this point, right? It's not out of the ordinary. I heard this, and I was like, respect, you know? And it's odd. This is where we've landed in the world of politics, where people are like, can't, no, you can't be thinking that. You have to pick one or the other. So based on some other things you said, I need this nefarious reason to think that you've now voted for one side and totally believe these one other things because I still have this nefarious reason in my head. It's part of that parasocial relationship I already went over that makes people feel this nefarious second reason.
Wants to see in the U.S. is this election year, she says, instantly is trans rights. They cannot have cis people making decisions for trans people, period. So, hear it from my mouth, if you're still wondering. No, I'm not voting for Trump. And yes, I will always question those in power and those making decisions over other people. And I will stand up for what's right and what I believe in. And, like, it's always at the forefront of my project. And I'm sorry that you fell for the clickbait.
Oh, wait a minute. She didn't explain herself enough? Wait a minute. She has to make a second video, you mean? Yeah, she did. Let's see what this video said.
I just woke up, and to, like, people just skewing it even more, endorsing and voting are completely different.
I'm just gonna say it right off the gates in case you didn't even notice yourself. But the fact that she has to, like, basically crawl out of bed and cut up this video, she's crying off the top of her morning, is literally insane. People have to make her cry. Like, I get that she's a big influencer and has a lot of followers, but she's even had to shut her comments off on this. And the fact that she felt the pressure to address this. Earlier I mentioned she deals with bipolar, so imagine dealing with that and then having all this pressure. That is, like, I cannot even begin to explain to you how much that is to deal with for one person. Like, if 4 people had to deal with that, I'd be like, holy shit, that's a lot for 4 people. She's literally one woman having to deal with that. That is insane. But let's see what she had to say.
I don't agree with a lot of what is going on with, like, policies. Like, obviously, fuck the policies of the right, but also fuck some of the policies on the left.
Once again, this is a very normal thing. And I've even noticed in public, when I've had a stance like this, people get mad at me. I'm just little old me, and people get mad at that. And I think this is a normal stance for people in our generation right now to have. I think it all comes from generations of how people grow up around, like, their parents, how they're influenced by their friends. And, you know, I think definitely a lot of like the 2020 stuff had to do with people feeling like they should just tell someone they must believe this or they must believe that. But this is very normal as far as I'm concerned.
That's why I can't endorse. That's why I can't, like, put my entire name and my entire project behind one. Because there is no way I can stand behind some of the left's completely transphobic and completely genocidal views. So yeah, there are huge problems on both. You know what is right and wrong, and so do I. Fuck Trump for fucking real, but fuck some of the shit that has gone down in the Democratic Party that has failed people like me and you.
I'm just going to say this in case you need to take a step outside of the situation for a second, but artists are never required to put their political opinion online. I will go so far to say as it is even like weird to see a video like this where she's having to, you know, publicly put her political opinion online. I've worked with artists that have 50 million followers. I've worked with artists that have 14 followers. And speaking with both of them, none of them ever want to put their political opinion. They want to share their music. They want to go in the studio, work on it, play a show, and go home. And that's it. You know, there's music business and all that jazz between it. But that's all they want to do at the end of the day. And I want to get into like some TikTok opinions on this, which I will still get into that after this. But let's continue to hear this video.
And more so, Palestine. And more so, every marginalized community in the world. So no, I'm not gonna settle for what the options that are in front of me. And you're not gonna make me feel bad for that. So yeah, I'm voting for fucking Kamala. But I'm not settling for what has been offered because that's questionable. It's questionable that our actions of our government, the actions of the internet, the actions of you and me. If this is what you are not understanding, you know what? Endorsing someone, if someone is publicly endorsing a political figure, that doesn't even mean that they're gonna fucking vote for them. Because as I said in my other video, actions speak louder than words. And I'm not gonna let this narrative of like me not playing both sides. No. This is not me playing both sides. This is me questioning both sides because this is what we have in front of us. So if you look at my statement and you're still like, she's just playing both sides, like she doesn't want to, no, you're not getting it. I'm critiquing both sides because they're both so fucked up.
Once again, I'll say it one more time for those that didn't hear it. This is still a very normal stance. There's nothing insane about this. This is as normal as it gets for politics right now. If she was saying something like super hard lefting or super hard right, then sure, I can understand maybe like a little criticism on that, right? But like, this is, so far, this is very normal. Depending on like, you know, which side you're on, you should still look at this and be like, oh, okay, and move on with your life. But that's not what happened here at all. And I'm going to show you the proof from the pudding on that in just a second.
Voting is all we have right now in the system. And so I encourage it, yet again, vote for who in your mind is the best option for what we have right now. Because it's all we can do. And I hope this makes it clear that no, I'm not picking the sides of what we have right now. Yes, one's obviously better than the other. But Jesus fucking Christ, I hope you don't settle for what we have and put your name behind someone that you don't fully trust because of their blatant actions.
You can see how upset she was in that video, right? And she felt an obvious amount of pressure there. And because politics are so crazy, I even have personal friends of mine that I feel like I can no longer hang out with because I feel like their opinions on politics put myself in danger. And I'm a straight white male saying that. If I feel that way and she's a young woman and feeling any amount of that, I cannot even begin to imagine. That is like 4 times what I'm even feeling from my like just a few insane friends that are like maybe feeling one way or the other about a certain topic, right? Now, having said that, she went ahead and canceled her concert and missed all of this. And you can see right here, there's plenty of articles. There's this today.com one that came out. It says, cancels 2 big shows due to overwhelming pressure because things have got overwhelming. It's the same people that have pressured her about her politics that made her cancel this, and they're the same people that are getting mad. And let's see what they had to say on TikTok. She said, I apologize to the people who have been waiting to see me in NY and DC this weekend at All Things Go, but I'm unable to perform. Things have gotten overwhelming the past few weeks, and I'm really feeling it. I feel pressure to prioritize a lot of things right now, and I need a few days to prioritize my health. I want to be present when I perform and give the best shows possible. Thank you for understanding. People have responded to this in kind of an unexpected way. I think it's a lot of the same people that have got mad at her for this that are responding in this, dare I say, maybe childish way.
I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't like her right now. Maybe that'll change. Like, I was, like, bopping to her music. I actually listened to it on my Amazon Music. It's very rare for me to, like, put in something new.
Having up here in the right, Chappell Roan, can you stop yelling at us in the description is insane. She's literally not yelling at you. She's literally having to stick up for herself as a young woman online. You know, she's dealing with harassment. So she's trying to be like, hey, stop harassing me. That's literally all she's said so far.
He's sweet. He's nice. He doesn't yell at his fans. And you are just giving off key. Not like vocal, but like get off the internet. It's not for you. And if you don't want to be famous, if you want to just be a random bitch, then you can stop performing. You can cancel your tour. You can stop the project you're talking.
Yo, what in the world is it? What is this timeline? And why is there a comment that's juiced up with 6,901 likes? This is the take. Huh? She should have the freedom to do what she wants? Question mark. We already went over this and why she wants to be an artist. We talked about this at the beginning of this video. You can go back if you want to hear that.
It's you have to just be a little more humble, be a little more kind.
Okay, you can see where that commentary is headed. That is insane. I don't know why fans are reacting in this matter, but let's look at this video.
Before I say what I'm about to say, please know I'm a fan of Chappell Roan. That very valid critique was people falling for clickbait and people not thinking critically. And she's got about one more good time to get up on this internet and speak down to her fans. She's got about one more good time before the whole shit is up. Honestly, it's giving entitled. It's giving no PR training. It's giving...
To this entitlement and PR training statement of hers right here, sure, you can look at this and say that she's entitled because of, you know, she can cancel the show and be okay. Like, that's just not true at all. I think, you know, mental health, in my mind at least, and I think in a broader public's mind, will always come first. An artist is not totally, you know, skewed away from being a human being still and looking out for their own mental health. And if your mental health isn't great, how the hell are you supposed to play a show? I think a lot of these takes are to like lash out on her, not like who she is anymore because of this, is literal chaos. I saw this old man give a pretty base take on the situation overall, and I wanted to go over his TikTok. But before we get into that, there's a couple more of these TikToks that I want to show you people's opinions on this.
All these people on the plane, like, to go see Chappell Roan, and she canceled, and they're finding out on the plane. I've seen like 10 videos, and all I can do is think about if that was me and how insane my emotions would be going. Because first of all, when you go to a concert, you have been waiting till this day. You've been waiting for this. Then it's one thing to like cancel the shit and like you're in that city so you can just stay home. But it's another thing to be flying somewhere else, because we all know how a travel day is. A travel day is...
When you buy a ticket, in the small print, when you hit purchase, it always says dates and things are subject to change. I've never bought a ticket in my life that it doesn't say that. Every ticket I've ever bought has said that. So you should expect that. Us as human beings, we don't go and read the fine print. I'm just dorky enough to go read the fine print, but it is small, not a lot of people read it, and I get that. But as a ticket buyer, or if you've been going to shows, maybe it even is your first show, it's still there. No matter what, that information is still there. And so, yes, an artist, if their mental health is awful, not even her mental health, but let's say that wasn't a factor. Just as I mentioned earlier, politics can make, you feel uncomfortable. You can feel like other people are like dangerous because of, politics, and you need a little break to be able to feel safe and to be able to feel comfortable again, right? That is, but on top of her bipolar, on top of anything else that I don't personally know about that she might be dealing with, plus all this pressure is a lot for one person. And so it's totally valid and okay for her to cancel. These people getting flights out is not her issue. It literally says in the fine print that it could change. So these people should not be lashing out. Sure, they've lost some money, but that is their own decision to go fly out. That she didn't call them and say, you must fly out to my show. She never told anyone that. No, they made their own decision to do that, knowing that it is subject to change. Whether or not they read that in the print, it was still there.
You gotta wake up early to the airport. Me, I be getting to the airport like 3 hours early. So it's probably waking up at crazy hours, and then you finally get on the plane and you're so...
Also, it's kind of funny to see this commentary, because artists, when they go on tour, as per my experience from hearing firsthand from artists both big and small, they spend an uncanny amount of time preparing for tour. Between all the rehearsals, between all the marketing, between all the time that has to be prepared ahead of time just to be able to go there, and then the time planning out where you're staying, the time planning out the set list, the time if unforeseen circumstances come up that you have to maybe make a last-minute change to something. There's so many things being thrown at artists when they go on a tour that time is like quadruple the amount of time that, a fan has to, take a flight and spend 2 hours in the airport or whatever other thing. Like, these takes are insane. Let's see. I want to show you another take here. Look at this one.
I have what I think may be an unpopular opinion regarding Chappell Roan canceling her performance at the All Things Go festival. I feel everyone is a little bit gentle parenting her and being like, oh, she needs to put her mental health first. She needs to prioritize her. Like, if she's not ready for it, this is too much for her. Like, I don't want her to get up on that stage and be miserable, blah, blah, blah. And, like, obviously I agree. Like, that all makes sense. And I empathize that, like, this has very much obviously become very overwhelming for her. But I felt the same way when she canceled a show to perform at the VMAs. It's just kind of like really sad to think of all the people that are affected by it when she makes this kind of decision, and like the privilege that comes with being like a pop star and being able to just cancel a show and like you get to still be rich and still be fine. And like, and I'm not trying to...
Also, I think there's this misconception out there that just because an artist has like a large following means that they're rich and they have money and they're privileged, all these kinds of things. I don't know Chappell Roan's personal financial situation, nor do I think that's my responsibility or position to know that. But I will say firsthand, I've met artists that have 250K followers and have 300,000 monthly listeners or whatever it might be, and they're still super broke, like are trying to go show to show just to be able to pay their next bill. So that just because an artist has a big following doesn't mean they're in a position of privilege or whatever that might be. I think that's like a thing that fans think. Like we've all been primed into this idea that if you have a large following, you have money. Like I got 45,000 on a small scale, 45,000 followers on TikTok. Did I make a lot of money off of that? No, I made like $120 over the course of 2 years on it, you know? So no, that doesn't mean that.
Say like we should cancel Chappell Roan for it or anything, but I do think it's okay to acknowledge like it is a wildly selfish thing to do in a sense, because think about it, like normal people have normal jobs. Like if you work like a minimum wage customer service job, you make like $8 an hour, you work 40 to 50 hours a week, and you can't call out because you have no choice. You cannot afford to live your life and feed yourself if you call out, and that is just how life is for you.
This feels really toxic. I don't mean to pause her again, but it seems like the fans are like lashing out on her because of like, oh, look what I had to deal with. Oh, us fans. We take priority over your mental health. Your mental health is secondary to how we felt about having to change our flight or to how we feel about, you know, our job and this. Like, sure, yes, you might need that money at that job that you now don't have the shift for anymore, for sure. But again, you bought the ticket knowing that things are subject to change. There's no ticket out there that says this is happening perfect. There's nothing that could possibly change. No ticket says that, okay? So you must be taking that into consideration as you buy a ticket. If you're not, you're just not a true show goer. You don't understand show ethics.
For you, and you probably work 5 days a week, whereas Chappell Roan has to perform on stage at this festival for like an hour or two. I get that there's like rehearsals and things and other components, obviously, but like it doesn't compare to like the many hours that go into a regular work week for.
Another point where, and I hate that I'm like kind of going against a woman who's probably younger than myself here on this, but I do have, she's bringing up things that I think are worthy of, you know, giving commentary on from a perspective of someone who works with artists. But artists that I'm friends with, again, big and small, have all told me that their job does not stop. Like, when you work a job at, let's say, the grocery store, you work a job at maybe your corporate, you're working like 9 to 5, or maybe you're working, like she's saying, like you have these like hard hours you're working and then you're done. Most artists that I'm friends with do not stop working. I was just texting with an artist who just got back from another state after playing a show there to come back here to find out he had 2 shows to play in the same day. So, you know, traveling, going to a show, and in a 48-hour period, playing 3 shows, and also having to keep up with social media, having to go back and rehearse with your band and all that. Their job does not stop, okay? This is not just like, oh, 1 to 2 hours, let's go here and meet and cool. She's like completely undermining what artists have to go through and what they deal with. I don't know why. I guess it's like if you're not working firsthand with these artists, you don't get to see it or experience it, so you don't know.
Like a regular human who cannot call out. But if they do call out, say that they, you know, decide, oh, I'm just not going to eat for a couple days and I'm going to call out. The people who are disappointed are like their manager, maybe like higher ups, maybe the coworker that gets called in on their day off. But it doesn't really affect too much. Like the world keeps spinning, very much so. Obviously the world keeps spinning when Chappell Roan cancels her shows too. Not my point, but like when those same like lower income people sacrifice so many things to go to a Chappell Roan concert, like the thousands of people who have booked travel, booked flight, booked hotels, and paid for the tickets to see her, and she cancels the day before. It's like kind of crazy. Like all those people who are out money and PTO, like people who requested off work and they can't get that back. Like that's something they cannot get back. Like with my job, like if I took a week off to go do something and that thing got canceled, like I couldn't just take another week off another time in the year. Like, no, that's gone. Like you used it and you chose to use it for that moment. And it just really sucks. Like it affects a lot of people. Like thousands of people are going to be disappointed when you cancel a show. And like, I just kind of feel like,
and I'm going to say this could be a hot take. I think one disappointment, and maybe you could say this is like 2 or 3 or whatever it might be, isn't going to ruin her career. I see people talking about how this is like the downfall of her career and she's speed running to the end of her career and she's got one more chance. Otherwise, it's all over. Like, that is not the case. Her postponing this show or canceling this show on the day before because of her mental health is not a big deal. She should have every right to be able to do that because of her mental health. These same people that are lashing out are the same people that are the reason why she canceled her show. And I think you see where this girl's going with this, but I'm going to play this a little bit longer, and I'm going to show you one more clip before I end this video.
Like, to some extent, like, if it's not a crisis, like, I get, like, you should prioritize your mental health. This is going to sound so bad, but, like, sometimes you need to push through. Like, that's what we all do. Like, all of us normal people, when we don't want to go into work because we're having, like, a bad mental health day, we push through. Like, we have to. Like, if you work a customer service job, if you're, like, a barista or whatever it may be, like, and you have to go talk to, like, dozens, if not hundreds of customers and, like, put on a face and provide that emotional labor that takes everything out of you, we have to do that 5 days a week. And when you're Chappell Roan and you have to do it on stage for like an hour.
These comparisons between like this kind of job and her job is not a very fair playing ground, I'll say. They're two different jobs. It's kind of like comparing, how do I put this to you? It's kind of like comparing like water and soda and being like, oh yeah, you know, water is just as healthy for you as soda is. It's like, no. Like, these are two separate drinks here. It's kind of like that, really. I mean, it's like one job has these things that come with it. Another job has these things that come with it. They're not like the same. Like, sure, you could maybe set up a freelance job in that same method or manner, but they're not the same job at the end of the day. This is all other people's decisions to buy the ticket, and buying the ticket does not come with expectations that everything will go well. I bought a ticket to go see Beach Bunny a couple of years ago out in California, and the whole time I bought that ticket, I kept thinking, well, the show could either happen or not happen, depending on, you know, how the rest of their tour is going, because it was like getting closer to like the times of when COVID was happening, and I ended up being at like one of their last shows before they were like, hey, no more shows now because of COVID, right? But the whole time I was like, maybe this might get canceled, even though I did buy a ticket to California. I did buy a ticket for my hotel, right? And granted, you know, my job position might be different than other people who are like struggling to pay their next bill, etc. But that is not the forefront when it comes to Chappell Roan's mental health. Her mental health comes first. This is the result of her not being there. Check this out. Chappell Roan is genuinely the only artist that could cancel getting replaced by drag queens performing their music for 30 minutes, and everyone here is genuinely having the best time. And here, real quickly, this is the old man's take on the situation.
So Chappell Roan recently canceled a couple appearance dates, saying she's feeling overwhelmed, taking a break. She did it on very short notice, and a lot of fans are really beating her up over it. And I'm going to lose some people by saying this, but the fans beating her up over it are the fans that are the reason she did it. Now, a lot of people feel Chappell Roan is a overnight success. She's been at this a couple years, more than a couple. She's been at it since she was 17. What really caused her explosion over the last year was opening for Olivia Rodrigo. Prior to that, she was a pretty successful indie artist, and I think that's the level she was looking for and the level she was comfortable with of the popular indie artist. That's a good level to hit. That's a sustainable one. But when you hit the magnitude that she has hit...
I'm not going to play this whole video because this is a very long video. You can go check this out. This thing is Casey Lytle. I would highly suggest watching this video. This guy has a very good take on the matter, a very level-headed take on the whole thing. Highly suggest checking this out. But if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button because more videos are to come soon on internet drama. With that said, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.